from the Senate district seat first and let them speak for a minute, and then we'll let them sit down, and then I'll introduce the candidates for Truck Court. We have 4 for each one, so there's 8 candidates. If you'll take about 5 minutes, tell us who you are, why you're running, and what you think you could do. I'll start with Rich Bolin. If Rich will come on up. Okay. After you, all 4 candidates for Senate have spoken, we're going to ask you a few questions.
We're running a little late, so we may have to ask you to cut it to 4 minutes to get everybody in.
All right, I will talk fast so we can get everything done. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Rich Bolin. I'm an attorney over in Lexington. I'm running for course Senate 18, as you all know. I'm the 13th of 15 kids, and I've been living in Lexington since 1989 when I came down from law school. I grew up in a little town in rural New York State, and I chose to come down here as soon as I could get out of college so I could learn the law where I wanted to live, and I'm very happy to be here since then. I have my own little practice where I do mostly real estate and criminal defense. I have 2 paralegals that work with me, and I've been doing that since 1998. My political background, I'm the immediate past chair of the Lexington County Republican Party since from 2009 through 2012. February 2012. I've been involved with the party since '95 when I was a precinct president with Lisa Sox. Back then we used to cut up together. I'm sure a lot of you know Lisa. I've worked on a bunch of campaigns over the years, starting with Carol Campbell's campaign in 1990 when I started law school. And ever since then I've been involved in various campaigns. And I was a general counsel to Secretary of State Miles back in the mid-90s. The reason I'm running is because I am frustrated with our government in general. And I get frustrated, and I'm sure many of you do the same thing, and yell at the TV and ask why they're doing such stupid things, and why don't they do X, and why don't they do Y. So I decided that I had to apply myself instead of just complaining. So I think there's a mentality in government that they have answers, that they need to apply themselves in order to solve the problems that we have, and I think that's wrong. I think government is not good at solving problems. I think government is good at causing problems, and that if we could get the government out of a lot of the areas of our lives that they're currently injecting themselves, we'd all be a lot better off, the economy would improve, and we'd all be happier. So that's why I'm going to try to get myself into Columbia where I can hopefully make less government and less laws and less regulation. I believe we need to have a lot more private competition within the functions of government, even amongst the government agencies, to try to encourage more efficiency. Obviously, government can't do what the private sector does in response to problems, in response to personnel issues. They can't hire people as quickly. They can't change their expenditures because they have to go through the budget process. They have to apply their remedies to everyone equally, so they can't do one thing for one county like a private industry could and something different for another county. So all these things make it hard for government to do a lot of the functions that they volunteer to do for us. I also believe in some just quick final points I want to reiterate or iterate. I think we need term limits for all offices from Soil and Water Conservation Board to governor, and we've started with the governor, so now we just need to take it down the rest of the way. We need to also make sure that the rules that the legislature passes apply to them. We have a terrible habit, I say that as legislators, of thinking that the laws don't apply to us. We specifically make these exemptions and various rules for the members of the legislature. We need to stop that. We need to be willing to challenge the federal government when they force things on us that we don't want, or they extort us with money to do things that we wouldn't do on our own. We need to be willing to stand up to the federal government and defy them to the extent that we can legally do it, and I believe there's a lot more room to do that than we currently are doing. And finally, we need to make sure that as a legislature, we don't do the same thing to the counties and the towns, mandating that they do things and we don't fund them from the state level. So I would just ask you to consider me, and thank you for your time.
for everybody getting a fair time to speak, I'm going to hold the questions to last. Y'all who need to leave at 2 o'clock can leave, and if you want to stay for questions, you can stay for that. Senator Ronnie Cromer is the incumbent. Ronnie, come on. Ronnie had a rotating club accident, so he's one-on guy today.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here with you folks today. I just want to give you a little bit of background in case there are some here who don't know Ronnie Cromer by now. I've lived in Senate District 18 all my life. I grew up there. I went to school there, high school. When I graduated from high school, I went to the University of South Carolina, went to pharmacy school. Went back and worked in some small pharmacies all through the district for a period of about 12 or 13 years. And back in 1981, I had the opportunity to experience the American dream. I was able to purchase my own pharmacy, have my own small business. And when I say the American dream, I'm talking about, yes, it was the same dream that we wake up in the middle of the night wondering how we're going to make payroll that week, or wondering if we're going to be able to pay expenses. And then at the end of the year, after you had no money left, you got through paying your mortgages and all off, you had no money left, and the federal government still wants at least 35% of the monies that you don't have. And so, folks, it didn't take me long to realize that at some point in time, I wanted to give back to the folks in my community, and I wanted to try to get more of government out of our lives. So the background that I have in small business preempted me or gave me the opportunity, or made me see the opportunity to serve my constituents. I learned very early on frugal and fiscal values. I've got to say that I have a loyal devotion to my country. I served 30 years in the military. That is the National Guard, the Reserves, and active duty. I am a veteran of Desert Storm. I served in Desert Storm in 1991. I've got a loyal devotion to the Lord and my church. I teach Sunday school. I've been on church council chairman forever. I have a loyal devotion to my family. I've been married to my wife for 42 years. I have 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren and 2 fine son-in-laws. One of the things I've got to tell you, though, out of all the things that I've done that I have enjoyed most, is being able to help the constituents and the people in District 18. You know, I saw early on, it's tough navigating government waters. It really is. You go to a specific agency at the state or on the federal level, you don't always get the help you want. And I feel like that I've been fairly successful in helping folks with issues that they have at state agencies. And I'll also have to say that it's given me an opportunity to make sure that those state agencies are run more effectively and more efficiently. I want to tell you that I appreciate all the support that you've given me in the past, and I would like to ask you again for your support on June the 12th. That's the date of our primary. And if you need any more information on you, I would request that you go to ronniecromer.com and find out what you can, any of the issues that you may have that are concerned to you and the issues that I support. And you can also find out how you can sign up to help me. So, Tom, if that's it,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate is Alan Hunter. Come on.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Hunter. I grew up right down the street, as a matter of fact. I remember when this lot was a Piggly Wiggly. This was the only grocery store around here. And there was a SO gas station right up the street. My grandparents, my parents, my aunts, uncles, great aunts, great uncles, all formed our Savior Lutheran Church right down the street back in the 50s. And that's where I'm still a member. I'm on the church council there, property chairman. I went to Brooklyn Casey. Actually, Curtis Loftus was my school bus driver in middle school. Good to see him today. I went to the University of South Carolina. After graduating high school at 16, I joined the South Carolina Air Guard. I began to work at Wilbur Smith and Associates as a draftsman. And I went to school full-time and got my bachelor's degree in physics and an associate's degree in public relations and general commerce. I spent 20 years out at McIntyre. I was in Desert Storm. I've been an engineer most of my life of some form or fashion. For 10 years, I worked for the Adjutant General's office in state government as a facility engineer, building armories all over the state. This was really good for the communities because in a lot of these small rural communities, that armory was their civic center and still is. It also created jobs for high school seniors. Communities love that stuff. And that's the help they need from a state senator. They still need it. Lexington needs a lot of help right now to clear up that debacle of an intersection where Highway 6, 378, and number 1 come together. Lawyers don't really make good representatives because they don't actually solve anything. They write laws and go and vote on them. And what we need somebody that's going to go out there, get into the county, meet with the town's mayors, city administrators, school districts, and help them solve the issues that they have. That's who we're supposed to be representing. Highway 378 is a state highway, so is Highway 6. State needs to cough up some funding to help fix that mess. US 1 is a federal highway. You need a state senator that's going to go up to the federal government and say, hey, you need to contribute to this too. And then you've got to go and you've got to get buy-in with the county and the town to say, hey, you guys are going to have to help move some utilities around. You might have to move a school so that we got some more real estate to create a better traffic plan. I lived in Atlanta for a long time and I was a technology engineer over there. I was a senior technology engineer for Delta Airlines during Y2K. And I just moved back here recently and I live in District 18 right across from the Yacht Cove and I want to be your next state senator. Thank you.
Candidate is Gormley Meador.
How's everybody doing? My name is Gormley Meador. I am not a politician. I used to be on WIS-TV for a lengthy career as a news anchor and a reporter. And, you know, let's face it, nobody really likes reporters. You know, they get into everybody's business. So I figured after I left television to raise my children and get them to school age, that I would get into a career where everyone loves the people who represent them as a politician, right? I mean, there's a good career that's very popular with folks, being a politician. Just like Senator Cromer was talking about living the American dream, I have 3 boys now, 6, 4, and 2, and boys are a handful. I love them, they're the loves of my life. Children are my love, and I want them to have the American dream. And I feel like if our state continues in the direction it's going, they will not have that dream. They will not have the opportunity that folks of a different generation had. I think things need to change. People ask me what got into politics, or got me into politics. And not unlike Mr. Bolin, I found myself going from a position where I was at the State House a lot, investigating, doing stories, and people along the way don't realize that those bills that pass through the State House, S-333, House Bill this, Senate Bill that, represent human beings. I recently talked to a representative who said, Kara, you're going to love the campaign trail because you can really get out and meet people and touch people and see who you're going to be representing. And then I had to take a step back and realize, man, I was blessed. As a reporter, I did that every day. I traveled around the state, and many of my travels brought me to Lexington County, and not always in very positive ways. But I traveled the state, I met the people. A lot of these folks are still in my Rolodex today. A lot of them were victims. They were the people behind Senate Bill 333 or House Bill whatever. These are folks that need help. They're real human beings. Many of them don't have jobs right now. And this is where I feel like I'm similar to Rich Bolin in the respect of, now I'm sitting back looking at it from an outside perspective, not as an investigative reporter, and I'm watching our legislators investigate each other and sue each other. This at a time where our unemployment rate is above 9%, where our educational system is broken and my kids are about to enter it. And we talk about fiscal responsibility. Well, when we look at that, I don't think that we have been responsible. We talk about not having any money, but if you really, really start looking at the issues, it comes down to transparency and accountability for most of our issues. And when we start to be more transparent and we look at these bills that are going through, sometimes with unaccountability, we can start adding up the money that we can save. And yes, this may only be worth $300,000, which sounds like a lot of money to all of us, but not to the politicians. But $300,000 here and $300,000 there add up to a lot of teacher salaries, adds up to a charter school, adds up to money given back to the public in the form of tax breaks. So I appreciate your time here today. More about my issues at careforsenate.net. And I'm available. My platform is Leadership by Listening. I want to hear what you folks have to say because we've heard a lot what they have to say. Thank you.
If I can have Rich Bolin, Ronnie Cromer, Alan Hunter, and Kara Gormley come up here to the front, please. I have two questions to ask you that have been submitted ahead of time. I'll give you about a minute to respond. All right, right in the middle. When y'all ask, the first question is, if you're elected, will you support school choice? And you might want to explain your answer.
When I've traveled throughout the district, I've talked to a lot of the school administrators, and I don't think that there's a principal out there, I don't think that there's a school superintendent out there that doesn't believe in school choice when it's inside school district lines. And I think if you'll go back, and I think if you'll check my voting record, you'll find out that 2 years ago, yes, Ronnie Cromer voted for school choice. So I think I'm already on record on that. Thank you.
I too am for universal school choice. I recently went to a meeting of educators in Lexington, District 1, and this is one of the beacons, one of the better educational systems in the state. And I was floored to find how upset teachers are with the current situation they find themselves in. They were talking about being upset so much about universal school choice because they believe competition is good as well. Competition makes people better. What they wanted to talk about is a system that is heavy, top heavy. They want to talk about superintendent's offices where the superintendents are making $140,000 a year, where the mean income for the rest of us in South Carolina is around $33,000. They want to talk about what the Department of Education is doing. These are the issues that really matter to the educators that I spoke with. They want the best for our students and the best for our state. Everybody knows for us to succeed, we need an educated workforce. Universal school choice, I believe, is needed, but I think we also need to look at those top-level incomes first.
I agree with Ronnie Cromer. I think it should stay inside the school district lines. These principles were put in place originally for a reason. That was to minimize overcrowding of schools. If you got everybody going to one school and nobody going to the other, you're not going to get a good quality education that way. So, like Ronnie said, I think if you keep it within the district lines, keep the efficiency there for transporting the children to and from school, you spread it out and make it too open, then you're going to run into some problems that I don't think people are forecasting.
Well, my short answer is yes, I do support it, and there's not too much that I can imagine I wouldn't be supporting in the area of introducing competition and choice to the public schools. We've been 49th, 50th, even 51st depending on the measure, for 40 or 50 years. Obviously, just doing what we've been doing for the last 50 years isn't working. So if you have a creative idea on how to introduce more choice, let me know. I'll be happy to see if we can make it happen. Thank you.
Our second question is, do you believe in the Republican Party platform, and how does this affect your votes? Do you have anything that you differ with the platform?
Tom, you got all Republicans here. I think you're going to hear everybody say, yeah, I agree with the Republican Party platform. But I have to tell you, truthfully, I've lived it in the last probably 30-something years that I've been involved with the Republican Party. I got involved with Ronald Reagan's campaign. That was my first presidential campaign, and I was his candy chair. And I believe in all the ideals. If I didn't, I wouldn't be in politics today under the Republican name. And I've got to tell you, folks, I put up an agenda the last 2 years that, to me, absolutely adheres to the Republican Party line. It's all about limit and defend. It has to do with the immigration laws that we passed 2 years ago. It has to do with lower taxes. It has to do with trying to, since 2007, the legislature, we spend money within our means, and we give money back when we have the extra money that we can give money back. So those are all Republican Party principles. If you're against abortion and those other issues, absolutely, just go check my voting record, and I think you'll find that Ronnie Cromer is a solid Republican. And if you don't, go check the Myrtle Beach Tea Party's recent review of all the candidates, not candidates, but all the incumbents in the Senate, and you'll find that Ronnie Cromer was tied for fourth amongst the most conservative people in the Senate. So just go online, you can look it up, Myrtle Beach Tea Party, and you'll find me down there, number 4. Thank you, Congressman.
I appreciate the senator's service, and I appreciate everybody who tries to represent our county, our state, their towns, and their cities. I believe in the Republican Party platform. I believe we need to live it and not just talk about it. I too have seen a number of report cards, and not all of them are so positive about Senator Cromer's record. I believe that there has to be a lot more fiscal responsibility. I think that you should look for some of those records when you do your research. I also believe that transparency, as I mentioned, is a huge issue. Senator Tom Davis has a bill that he put out there to try to make, and everybody in Lexington County is very familiar with incentives. Senator Davis wants to make incentives, deals that are offered, more transparent. I don't understand why anyone would want that not to happen, but in some of these voting records you will find that that is the case. So I believe in the Republican Party platform. I don't want to talk about it. I want to live it if you give me the chance. And real quickly, because I know this is the last question, please don't vote for me because I'm a female. Lord have mercy, I've got so much press coverage. She's a female, she wants you to vote for her, she wants gender to be an issue. That is not the case. I want you to vote for the very best person that you believe can do the best job, any of these candidates up there. Thanks.
Yes, since I was 18 years old when I first registered to vote, I voted as a Republican. In every election since, I have voted as a Republican. So I do believe in the Republican platform. It's almost like choosing a church. You know, some people choose Baptist, some choose Lutheran, some choose Catholic. You have to believe in something. And I think the Republican Party, I think most South Carolinians are Republicans. There's not very many Democrats in the state of South Carolina. But I think that those values really ring true with me. They always have. Like I say, I've always voted Republican ever since I was 18 years old, and I don't plan to change it anytime soon. Thanks a lot.
Well, the short answer is yes. I've read it from cover to cover. I don't know how many of you have, but when I got elected chairman, I made it a priority for me to know the South Carolina Republican Party platform. It's like 40 pages long, and I went through and made marks where I disagreed. So there are some places where they're not foursquare with my position on various issues. But as a general principle, you know, I think it's fairly obvious the reason we're here is because we believe in Republican Party principles. So generally yes, but there are some things that I would differ with. And if Mickey had told me this question coming up, I would have brought in my marked up copy of the platform and told you what those specifics were. But I can't remember off the top of my head. So thank you all for letting me be here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all can be seated if the clerk of court candidates will come up.